You've heard the horror stories about house sitting, but what about pet sitting? It's a seemingly innocent job, a chance to cuddle some furry friends and earn a little extra cash. But sometimes, behind the cute pets and cozy homes, lurk truly terrifying tales. Tonight, we delve into the darker side of pet sitting, exploring real-life experiences that will make you think twice before accepting your next assignment. Prepare to be chilled to the bone as we uncover the secrets that hide within our own neighborhoods. Story 1: The Aggressive Dog. The sun was barely peeking over the horizon when Sarah arrived at the grand, two-story Victorian house. She'd been pet sitting for years, but this job felt different. The owners, a wealthy couple, had left strict instructions. Their German Shepherd, a massive beast named Max, was protective but could be handled with care. Sarah approached the house cautiously, her heart pounding. The front door creaked open, and the air was thick with an eerie silence. As she stepped inside, a low growl rumbled from the living room. Max, a towering shadow, emerged from the darkness. His eyes, a piercing shade of amber, fixed on Sarah. The first few days were a tense standoff. Max would follow Sarah's every move, his body language a constant threat. She tried to win his trust with treats and gentle words, but he remained aloof and aggressive. One evening, as Sarah was preparing dinner, Max lunged at her, his teeth bared. She narrowly dodged the attack, her heart racing. Fear gnawed at her, but she refused to back down. She sought advice from a dog trainer, who suggested using positive reinforcement techniques. Slowly, with patience and persistence, Sarah started to see a change in Max. She would spend hours in the backyard, playing fetch and offering gentle praise. As the days turned into weeks, a bond began to form. Max, once a formidable foe, became a gentle giant. He would lean against her for affection, his tail wagging slowly. The once terrifying house now felt like a safe haven. The experience taught Sarah a valuable lesson: even the most fearsome creatures can be tamed with love and understanding. Story 2: The Aggressive Dog. The sun was barely peeking over the horizon when Sarah arrived at the grand, two-story Victorian house. She'd been pet sitting for years, but this job felt different. The owners, a wealthy couple, had left strict instructions. Their German Shepherd, a massive beast named Max, was protective but could be handled with care. Sarah approached the house cautiously, her heart pounding. The front door creaked open, and the air was thick with an eerie silence. As she stepped inside, a low growl rumbled from the living room. Max, a towering shadow, emerged from the darkness. His eyes, a piercing shade of amber, fixed on Sarah. The first few days were a tense standoff. Max would follow Sarah's every move, his body language a constant threat. She tried to win his trust with treats and gentle words, but he remained aloof and aggressive. One evening, as Sarah was preparing dinner, Max lunged at her, his teeth bared. She narrowly dodged the attack, her heart racing. Fear gnawed at her, but she refused to back down. She sought advice from a dog trainer, who suggested using positive reinforcement techniques. Slowly, with patience and persistence, Sarah started to see a change in Max. She would spend hours in the backyard, playing fetch and offering gentle praise. As the days turned into weeks, a bond began to form. Max, once a formidable foe, became a gentle giant. He would lean against her for affection, his tail wagging slowly. The once terrifying house now felt like a safe haven. The experience taught Sarah a valuable lesson: even the most fearsome creatures can be tamed with love and understanding. Story 3: The Mysterious Disappearances. The quaint, ivy-covered cottage seemed idyllic, but beneath its charming facade lurked an unsettling mystery. As soon as Sarah, a seasoned pet sitter, stepped through the door, she felt a strange, inexplicable chill. The first few days passed without incident. She'd spend her mornings tending to the elderly cat, a sweet creature named Oliver. The afternoons were filled with leisurely walks through the nearby woods. But as the week wore on, Sarah began to notice peculiar occurrences. Small items: a favorite pen, a pair of earrings, a book from the living room would vanish without a trace. At first, she dismissed it as simple forgetfulness. But as the disappearances grew more frequent, a sense of unease crept into her mind. One evening, as she was preparing dinner, a valuable antique watch disappeared from the bedside table. Panic set in. She searched the house, high and low, but found nothing. The more she searched, the more frustrated she became. A cold dread settled over her as she realized that she was not alone in the house. A few nights later, she awoke to a strange noise. It was a soft rustling sound, coming from the direction of the kitchen. Heart pounding, she crept downstairs, armed with a kitchen knife. The kitchen was dark, but a faint glow illuminated the counter. A shadowy figure was rummaging through the drawers. Fear turned into anger as Sarah lunged forward, shouting. The figure whirled around, revealing itself to be a young woman, startled and wide-eyed. She explained that she was a distant relative of the homeowner, a secret caretaker of the property. The disappearances, she confessed, were a misguided attempt to reclaim family heirlooms. The incident left Sarah shaken, but also relieved. The mystery had been solved, and the unsettling feeling that had plagued her had finally dissipated. She returned to her regular routine, grateful for the peaceful days that followed. The quaint cottage, once a source of unease, now held a bittersweet memory, a reminder of the unexpected twists and turns life can take. Story 4: The Uninvited Guest. The old Victorian house creaked and groaned, its weathered facade hinting at secrets hidden within. Sarah, a seasoned pet sitter, had accepted a job there, drawn to the promise of tranquility and the companionship of a gentle golden retriever named Charlie. Her first few days were peaceful. She spent her mornings tending to Charlie, her afternoons exploring the sprawling garden. But as the week progressed, a strange unease settled over her. She began to hear odd noises at night, muffled footsteps, whispers, and the occasional thud. One evening, as she was reading by the fireplace, a strange draft swept through the room, extinguishing the flames. She stood up to investigate, a chill running down her spine. A faint light flickered from the second-floor hallway. Curiosity, mixed with a touch of fear, propelled her upstairs. The hallway was dimly lit, the air thick with an unsettling silence. As she approached the source of the light, she heard a low murmur. Hesitantly, she pushed open the door to an attic room. Inside, under the dim glow of a single bulb, sat a man, hunched over a desk, engrossed in a book. Startled, she stumbled backward. The man looked up, his eyes wide with surprise. He introduced himself as Thomas, a distant relative of the homeowner, who had been granted permission to stay in the attic room. Sarah, however, had not been informed of this arrangement. A wave of relief washed over her, followed by a surge of anger. She had been living in the house, unaware of another person's presence. The strange noises, the inexplicable drafts, and the eerie atmosphere had all been caused by this uninvited guest. She confronted the homeowner, demanding an explanation. The homeowner apologized profusely, explaining that they had forgotten to mention Thomas's stay. Sarah, though understanding, couldn't shake off the feeling of intrusion. The rest of her stay was filled with a mix of unease and relief. She learned to coexist with Thomas, though their interactions were minimal. The once peaceful house had become a place of secrets and unexpected encounters. The experience taught her a valuable lesson: even the most seemingly ordinary places can harbor extraordinary secrets. Story 5: The Creepy Neighbor. Sarah had always loved the quiet, suburban neighborhood. The houses were charming, the neighbors friendly, and the atmosphere peaceful. But her idyllic view of the neighborhood was shattered when she started a pet-sitting job at a nearby house. The house itself was lovely, a classic two-story with a well-manicured lawn. The pet, a playful golden retriever named Max, was a joy to care for. However, there was one unsettling aspect to her new routine: the neighbor across the street. He was a man in his late 40s, with a gaunt face and piercing eyes. He would often sit on his porch, staring intently at Sarah's every move. At first, she dismissed it as harmless curiosity. But as the days passed, his gaze grew more intense, more unsettling. One afternoon, as she was tending to Max in the backyard, she felt a cold shiver run down her spine. The neighbor was watching her from his window, his face pressed against the glass. His eyes followed her every movement, a predatory gleam in them. She quickly retreated inside, her heart pounding. From that day on, she was on edge. She avoided going outside alone, especially at night. She would often catch glimpses of him lurking in the shadows, his figure shrouded in darkness. The once peaceful neighborhood now felt like a surveillance state, with the neighbor as the watchful overseer. She confided in the homeowner, who expressed concern but assured her that the neighbor was harmless. However, Sarah couldn't shake off the feeling that she was being watched, her every move monitored. The experience left her deeply unsettled, and she vowed to be more cautious in the future. The once idyllic neighborhood had become a place of fear and paranoia, a stark reminder that even in the most peaceful of places, darkness can lurk just beneath the surface. Story 6: The Haunted House. The old Victorian mansion loomed over the street, its Gothic architecture casting long, ominous shadows. Sarah, a seasoned pet sitter, had accepted a job there, drawn to the challenge and the promise of a quiet week. As she stepped through the heavy, ornate door, a chill ran down her spine. The house was filled with an eerie silence, broken only by the ticking of an antique grandfather clock. The air was thick with dust and the faint scent of decay. The first few days were uneventful. She spent her time caring for the elderly cat, a serene creature named Oliver. But as the week progressed, strange occurrences began to unfold. Doors would slam shut on their own, objects would move from one place to another, and cold spots would appear in the most unexpected places. One night, as she was reading by the fireplace, a sudden gust of wind extinguished the flames. A cold draft swept through the room, sending a shiver down her spine. She looked up, startled, and saw a shadowy figure flitting across the hallway. Her heart pounded as she followed the figure, armed with a candlestick. The figure led her to the attic, a dusty, cobweb-filled room. As she entered, the figure vanished, leaving her alone in the dim, eerie light. She felt a presence, a cold, intangible force that seemed to watch her every move. Over the next few days, the paranormal activity intensified. She would hear whispers in the night, see apparitions in the corner of her eye, and feel icy fingers brush against her skin. The once peaceful house had transformed into a haunted abode, a place of fear and the unknown. Despite the terrifying experiences, Sarah persevered. She completed her duties, caring for Oliver and maintaining the house. The haunting, though unsettling, was also a fascinating experience, a glimpse into the supernatural. As her week came to an end, she left the house with a mix of relief and nostalgia. The Victorian mansion, with all its ghostly secrets, had become a part of her life, a reminder that the boundaries between the real and the supernatural are often blurred. Story 7: The Uncooperative Pet. The quaint cottage, nestled amidst rolling hills, seemed like the perfect place for a peaceful week of pet sitting. However, its serene exterior belied the chaos that awaited Sarah. The pet in question was a mischievous cat named Loki. Unlike most cats, Loki was anything but cuddly. He was a master of evasion, a Houdini of feline proportions. He would vanish for hours, only to reappear, mischievously batting at ornaments or knocking over vases. Sarah's first few days were a constant battle. She'd set out food and water, only to find it untouched hours later. She'd try to coax him with toys, but he would simply bat them away with disdain. The more she tried, the more elusive he became. One evening, as she was preparing dinner, Loki disappeared. She searched high and low, calling his name, but to no avail. Hours passed, and she began to worry. Just as she was about to give up, she heard a faint meow from the attic. With a flashlight in hand, she climbed the creaky stairs. There, perched atop a dusty trunk, was Loki, his eyes gleaming with mischief. As she reached for him, he leaped from the trunk and vanished into the shadows. Exhausted but determined, Sarah continued her efforts. She learned to anticipate his tricks, to outsmart his every move. She would set traps for him, using toys and treats as bait. Slowly but surely, she began to gain his trust. By the end of the week, Loki had warmed up to her. He would curl up on her lap, purring contentedly. The once mischievous cat had become a gentle companion. The experience taught Sarah a valuable lesson: patience and persistence can conquer even the most stubborn of creatures. Story 8: The Unexpected Illness. Sarah had always loved the thrill of pet sitting. The variety of homes, the different pets, and the quiet solitude made it the perfect job. But her latest assignment took a turn for the worse, one that would test her resilience and her financial stability. The job was straightforward: care for a golden retriever named Buddy while the owners were away on vacation. The first few days were idyllic. Buddy was a gentle giant, always eager for a belly rub or a game of fetch. Sarah spent her days walking him in the park, playing in the backyard, and spoiling him with treats. However, on the fourth day, Sarah woke up feeling unwell. A nagging headache, a sore throat, and a persistent cough plagued her. At first, she tried to push through, but as the day wore on, her symptoms worsened. The simple act of getting out of bed became a Herculean task. With a heavy heart, Sarah called the homeowners to inform them of her situation. They were understanding, but her sudden illness disrupted her carefully planned schedule. She had to cancel other pet-sitting jobs, jeopardizing her income for the month. The next few days were a blur of fever, chills, and endless coughing fits. She was confined to her bed, unable to care for herself, let alone a pet. As her illness lingered, anxiety crept in. She worried about her finances, her reputation as a reliable pet sitter, and the impact on her future bookings. Eventually, Sarah recovered, but the experience left a lasting impact. She learned the importance of prioritizing her health and the unforeseen challenges that can arise, even in the most ordinary of circumstances. She also realized the value of building strong relationships with clients, as their understanding and support helped her through a difficult time. Story 9, The Hoarder House. The house loomed large and foreboding, its windows obscured by layers of grime and dust. Sarah, a seasoned pet sitter, had accepted the job with a mix of curiosity and trepidation. The owners had warned her about the clutter, but nothing could have prepared her for the sheer magnitude of the mess. As she stepped inside, she was overwhelmed by the chaos. Piles of newspapers, magazines, and books towered over her, blocking pathways and obscuring furniture. The air was thick with the musty scent of decay, and the floor was littered with debris. Amidst the chaos, she found a pet, a small, timid cat named Whiskers. The cat seemed lost and frightened, hiding behind a towering pile of junk. Sarah carefully maneuvered her way through the clutter, coaxing the cat out with gentle words and a can of tuna. The days that followed were a test of patience and endurance. Every task, from feeding Whiskers to cleaning the litter box, was a Herculean effort. She had to navigate a labyrinth of clutter, dodging piles of junk and avoiding the risk of tripping over hidden obstacles. The hoarding had taken over every room in the house, including the kitchen and bathroom. The kitchen sink was overflowing with dirty dishes, and the bathroom was barely accessible. Sarah had to clean and sanitize every surface, a task that seemed endless. Despite the overwhelming mess, Sarah remained focused on her primary task, caring for Whiskers. She made sure the cat had fresh food and water, clean litter, and plenty of love and attention. The cat, initially fearful and withdrawn, gradually began to trust her. As the week drew to a close, Sarah felt a sense of accomplishment. She had not only cared for Whiskers but also brought a semblance of order to the chaotic house. The experience was both challenging and rewarding, a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit and the power of compassion. Story 10, The Aggressive Cat. The quaint, brick house seemed idyllic, but its peaceful facade hid a ferocious secret. Sarah, a seasoned pet sitter, had been warned about the cat, a sleek, black creature named Shadow. The owners had described Shadow as spirited, but Sarah quickly realized that spirited was an understatement. From the moment she stepped inside, Shadow was on the offensive. His eyes, glowing with hostility, were fixed on her every move. A low growl rumbled in his throat, and his tail twitched with agitation. Sarah approached cautiously, offering a tentative hand with a treat. But Shadow swatted it away, his claws extended. The next few days were a tense standoff. Sarah wore thick gloves to protect her hands, and she moved slowly and deliberately, trying to avoid provoking the cat. She fed Shadow with long tongs, placing the food bowl on the floor and retreating to a safe distance. One evening, as Sarah was preparing dinner, Shadow launched a surprise attack. He leaped from a shadowy corner, his claws raking across Sarah's arm. The pain was intense, and a streak of blood marred her skin. She retreated to her room, nursing her wound and contemplating her next move. The next day, Sarah sought advice from a local veterinarian. The vet suggested using a calming pheromone diffuser and creating safe spaces for both Sarah and Shadow. She also recommended consulting with a professional animal behaviorist. With the help of the vet's advice, Sarah began to make progress. She respected Shadow's space, avoiding sudden movements and direct eye contact. She also provided him with plenty of toys and scratching posts to redirect his energy. Slowly but surely, Shadow began to relax. He still had his moments of aggression, but they became less frequent and less intense. By the end of the week, Sarah had managed to form a tentative bond with the once ferocious feline. The experience taught her a valuable lesson: even the most challenging of pets can be tamed with patience, understanding, and a little bit of bravery. And so, as we've journeyed through these chilling tales, we've learned that even the most innocent of jobs can harbor unexpected horrors. The next time you're considering a pet sitting gig, remember these stories. Keep your wits about you, trust your instincts, and always be prepared for the unknown. After all, the scariest things often lurk in the shadows, waiting to pounce when you least expect it.